I knew something was off the moment she sprayed perfume over that $1,000 dress like she was choking out bad energy. Lisa always made a show of getting ready lately, like putting on armor. She curled her hair tighter, adjusted the straps on her heels 3 different times, and didn't even look at me when I asked, "So when do I get to meet your club friends?" She blinked at the mirror, then glanced over her shoulder. "Why?" I shrugged. "Just seems like you've been spending every weekend with them. Thought maybe I'd tag along sometime." That's when she set her brush down and turned. "Mason, they're just not your crowd. Okay? You'd embarrass me." I actually laughed for a second. Thought she was joking. "Embarrass you?" She crossed her arms. "It's not like that. It's just you show up in flannel and boots. You drive a truck. You talk about rebar and site plans. These people own vineyards and hedge funds. So what? I don't pass your dress code." She hesitated, then said it, slow, clear, no way to misinterpret. "You're too rough around the edges. You wouldn't fit in. That's just how it is." I looked at her for a second. She was dead serious. I could feel my jaw clench, but I didn't say what I wanted to. Instead, I nodded once and said, "Understood." That was it. No fight, no shouting match. I just stepped out of the room and let her keep getting ready like nothing happened. She grabbed her clutch, gave me a quick, "Don't wait up," and walked out the door. I stood there in the hallway for a while. Then I went to the kitchen, cracked open a beer, and sat at the counter. She thinks I'm some dumb construction worker with no clue how her world works. I've let her think that. Hell, maybe that's on me. But that night, that was the last time I let her treat me like I didn't belong. I grabbed my phone, scrolled past the usual names, and hit one I hadn't touched in years. "Chase." He picked up on the second ring. "Mason? Thought you died." "Not yet," I said. "You still running the marina?" "Yeah." "Why?" "I need to make a visit. Thought maybe I'd show my face at that sailing club dinner coming up." He let out a low whistle. "Damn. Okay. Yeah, man. You show up, we roll out the carpet." "Good," I said. "Let's remind some people who really owns the dock they're floating on." Chase showed up the next afternoon, right on time like always. Pulled up in his beat-up Jeep, still had sawdust on his shirt from some boat he was rehabbing. We sat out back at my place, beers open, sun starting to drop behind the fence. I gave him the full rundown. He whistled low. "She said what to you?" I nodded. "Too rough around the edges." That's a direct quote. Chase shook his head, leaned back in the chair. "You gonna tell her?" "Nah," I said. "Not yet." He gave me a look. "Still playing the long game, huh?" I didn't say anything, just took a sip of my drink. The truth is, Lisa never asked much about my family. She knew my dad passed 5 years ago, knew I was close with my cousin, and that I worked in construction. That was enough for her. She liked the idea of me being hands-on and blue-collar, but only when it fit her image. What she didn't know, the marina her fancy sailing club uses for all their events? My grandfather built that dock plank by plank back in the 50s. Ran charters out of it until he turned it into a full-service marina in the 70s. When he passed, he split it down the middle, half to my aunt, half to my dad. And when Dad died, his share came to me. It's not something I brag about. I've always had my own work, building sites, managing crews. I liked getting my hands dirty. The marina stuff? That was just passive income. I signed paperwork once a year and got a dividend check every quarter. Chase handled the day-to-day. "You sure you want to do this at the charity dinner?" Chase asked. "It's their biggest event of the year. Real highbrow." "That's the point," I said. "I want her to see exactly what she's been walking over." He grinned. "All right then. You want the full treatment? I'll call the staff, give them the heads up. Valet, red carpet, whatever you want." "No red carpet," I said. "Just make sure they know I'm coming, and that I'm not some plus one." He tipped his bottle toward me. "We'll make it classy. Marina Co-Owner, board member, son of the founder. Hell, we'll print you a name card if you want." I shook my head, but I couldn't help smiling a little. We spent the next hour going over the guest list. Lisa's name was there, of course, plus her boss, her department head, a few people I'd heard her mention in passing. The sailing club had reserved the entire main deck and east dining room for the event. Black tie, cocktail hour, catered seafood, the whole 9 yards. "She's in for a hell of a surprise," Chase said. I shrugged. "I'm not going to make a scene. I'm just going to show up, stand where I belong, and see what happens." That was always the thing with Lisa. She looked at life like a ladder. Every rung had to be better than the last. But I wasn't trying to climb. I was already standing at the top and just didn't feel the need to shout about it. When she talked about the club, she'd go on and on about how hard it was to get in. "Invitation only," she said once, all proud. She had no idea that her invitation came from a place my family built from scratch. Chase stood to leave, but before he got in the Jeep, he turned back. "You sure you're ready to show your face again? That crowd's changed." "I haven't," I said. "That's enough." He nodded once and drove off. I went back inside, pulled the suit bag out of my closet. It still had the dry cleaner's tag from Dad's funeral. Next weekend, I'd walk those docks like I owned them, because I did. And this time, I wasn't showing up to shake hands or blend in. I was showing up to take my seat at the damn table. Saturday night rolled in hot and sticky. The kind of late summer evening where the air hangs heavy and the marina smells like salt, fuel, and old rope. I pulled up an hour after Lisa left, just like I planned, in my dusty Silverado, the one she always called embarrassing. Before I even turned off the engine, 2 valets rushed out like I was the damn governor. One of them opened my door like it was a Bentley. "Mr. Caldwell?" he said. "Chase told us to expect you. Right this way, sir." I nodded, tossed him the keys, and followed him toward the main deck. The whole marina was lit up like a wedding. String lights, white tents, people in tuxedos and dresses drinking champagne and pretending they weren't all desperate for someone to notice them. I recognized half the faces from magazines and local papers, boat company CEOs, real estate developers, trust fund influencers with names like Preston and Delaney. Inside the event tent, waiters in bow ties floated through the crowd with trays of oysters and roes. It was the kind of place Lisa drooled over. And there she was, center of the damn universe, wearing a floor-length navy dress, her back to me, laughing at something her boss said near the seafood bar. She looked polished, perfect, plastic. I took a step forward, but Chase got to me first. Loud as hell, arms open, grinning like he'd just hit the lottery. "Mason Caldwell, look who's finally graced us with his presence," he boomed. Heads turned. People paused mid-sip. Then the whispers started, my name bouncing from one mouth to another. In seconds, I was surrounded. Old faces came out of the woodwork. Dockhands who used to fish with my dad. Board members who hadn't seen me since the funeral. Even the marina accountant who always called me Quiet Money. Everyone wanted to shake my hand, ask how I was doing, tell me they were glad I finally came home. Chase didn't let it die down either. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mason Caldwell, co-owner of the Caldwell Marina, son of John Caldwell. Without his family, none of this," he gestured to the whole glittering scene, "would even exist." Lisa turned. I watched her smile freeze. She stood there, wine glass halfway to her mouth, eyes locked on me like she was trying to figure out if it was a dream or a threat. I kept walking, didn't rush, didn't break eye contact. When I reached her little circle, I turned to her boss first. Gray-haired guy in a white tux, the type who probably owns 6 homes and cheats on his taxes. "Mason Caldwell," I said, offering my hand. "Pleasure to meet you." He shook it, confused but polite. "And you are?" I smiled, glanced at Lisa, then back at him. "Lisa's fiancé." You could have heard a seagull fart in that silence. Her boss blinked. One of her club friends actually choked on her drink. Lisa's mouth opened slightly, but nothing came out. I held the silence for a beat, then nodded once. Didn't mean to interrupt. Just figured it was time I met the people she spends so much time with. Lisa stepped forward, face pale, voice tight. "Mason, can I speak to you privately?" I looked around at the gawkers, then back at her. "Sure," I said. "After all, I wouldn't want to embarrass you." She spun around and stormed off, heels clacking like gunshots against the dock. Her friends stayed frozen, awkward and wide-eyed. I gave them a polite nod and turned back to Chase. "Want to grab a drink?" I asked. He grinned. "Oh, hell yeah. This is better than TV." We headed to the sidebar, leaving behind a crowd still trying to figure out how the blue-collar boyfriend just flipped their little yacht club inside out. I pulled into the driveway just before midnight, headlights washing over the front porch. Lisa's car was already there. The living room lights glowed through the blinds. My stomach tightened. I knew what I was walking into. The second I opened the door, she was there. Heels off, hair pinned up, still in that dress. She was pacing the hardwood like a lawyer about to deliver a closing argument. Her face was blotchy, eyes wild. "You lied to me," she snapped the second I stepped inside. "You let me make a fool of myself." I set my keys on the counter. "I didn't lie. You hid everything from me. You humiliated me in front of my boss, my friends." I cut her off. "You never cared enough to ask. I still work construction. I just happen to also co-own the marina your club worships." She froze for a second, then pointed at me like she was aiming a weapon. "You tricked me. You set me up so you could embarrass me." I shook my head. "No, you did that to yourself." Her voice rose. "You knew exactly what you were doing. You wanted to watch me squirm. I reminded you tonight who I am," I said. "That's it." She moved closer, hands clenched. "That was before I knew. Before I knew who you really were." "That's the whole point," I said, keeping my voice steady. "If I'd been just a regular foreman, you wouldn't have wanted me around. You proved it." Her eyes filled with tears, but her jaw stayed tight. "I didn't mean it like that. I was under pressure. My boss." "Stop," I said. "Don't put this on your boss. You told me straight out I'd embarrass you." She blinked hard, tears rolling now. "We can fix this, Mason. We can figure it out." "No," I said. "We're not getting married." It was like I'd slapped her. She stepped back, shoulders shaking. "You don't mean that." "I do." Her voice cracked. "Mason, please. I love you. I was stupid. I didn't think." "You thought exactly what you meant to think," I said. "And now we're done." She lunged forward, grabbed my arm. "Don't do this. We've planned everything. The venue, the guests." I pulled free. "Cancel it." Her begging turned to screaming. "You're throwing this away over one mistake? You're destroying my life." I grabbed my jacket off the chair. "No. You destroyed it when you showed me who you are." She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. "I'll change, Mason. I'll do anything." I walked to the door. My keys felt heavy in my hand. "Good luck with that," I said, and stepped out into the night. The door clicked shut behind me. Lisa didn't take silence well. First it was texts, long, guilt-laced paragraphs. Then voicemails, crying, apologizing, pretending nothing she said that night ever happened. I didn't respond. Not once. She even tried showing up outside my place. But I didn't open the door. 3 days in, she sent her mother. I was on site, walking the foundation lines with my foreman, when this silver Lexus rolls up on the gravel like it doesn't belong there. Out steps Diane. Hair stiff with spray, heels stabbing into the dirt, pearls around her neck like she was headed to a fundraiser, not a construction site in the middle of a hot Indiana morning. She waved me over like I was a waiter. I didn't move. "Excuse me, Mason?" she called, voice clipped. "Do you have a minute?" I handed the clipboard to my guy and walked over slow. She winced at the dust on my boots. "I'm here because Lisa's devastated," she said. "She hasn't eaten in days. She's heartbroken." "She's heartbroken she got caught," I said. "Not the same thing." Diane tilted her head like I was some confused child. "You're throwing away her entire future over one emotional mistake?" I stared at her. "No. I'm throwing away a marriage that would have been a lie." "She was under pressure," she said. "From work, from her peers. She didn't mean to hurt you. Can't you see that?" I crossed my arms. "Lisa showed me exactly who she is. I believe her." She switched tones fast. "Less guilt, more business." What if we offered some security? Prenup, couples therapy. You set the terms. You want a post-nup that protects your assets? Done. I raised my hand. No. Mason, be reasonable. You're done, I said. Get off my site or I'll have you escorted. Her mouth dropped open like she'd never been spoken to that way. Then she spun on her heel, sinking half an inch into the mud, and stormed back to her Lexus. An hour later, Chase called. His voice was already tight. Bro, you're not gonna believe this, he said. Try me. Lisa just called the events office. Told them you two made up and that she needs to rebook the private hall. For the wedding. I felt my jaw lock. She did what? Wait. There's more, he said. She placed a catering order. $6,000 in seafood and champagne. Said you'd cover it. Tried to use the club account. I laughed once, dry and sharp. Did she sign a contract? Nope. She assumed her word was enough. I canceled everything. Staff flagged it as suspicious when she couldn't provide a signed event form. Good. She's spiraling, man, he said. You okay? Better than ever, I said. Keep me posted if she tries anything else. Will do, he said. And hey, just say the word if you want her banned from the premises. Not yet, I said. Let her dig the hole herself. I hung up and went back to work. Dirt, sweat, real people. It felt solid, unlike the fake glass world Lisa was still clinging to. That night, I was eating takeout at the counter, scrolling through emails, when a LinkedIn message popped up from some guy named Brett Langston. The name didn't ring a bell, but the profile pic was clean-cut. Real estate smile, polo shirt, background said, Hotel Group VP. I almost ignored it. Then I read the message. Hey man, this is random, but I saw your name come up through some mutuals. Not sure if you're still with Lisa Garrison. If so, heads up. She pulled some real manipulative crap with me a few years ago. Same exact pattern. Hit me up if you want details. I messaged back, what kind of crap? 10 minutes later, he sent a full wall of text. Said she got super clingy when she found out his family owned a chain of boutique hotels. Started talking marriage fast. When he backed off, she claimed she was pregnant. Twice. Total bluff. He called her on it and she ghosted him. He apologized for the random message. Said he just didn't want me to fall into the same trap. I told him he was about 2 weeks too late, but I appreciated the honesty. He sent screenshots of old texts from her just in case she tried to pull anything legal. I forwarded it all to my lawyer that same night. The next day, Chase called again. She's at the marina, he said. Doing what? Demanding to be let in. Says she's still your fiancée. Says you're just working through stuff privately. I was already grabbing my keys. Keep her at the gate. I'm on my way. 15 minutes later, I pulled up. She was standing just past the security shack, arms folded, sunglasses on even though it was cloudy. The moment she saw me, her whole face changed. Sunglasses off, voice soft. Mason, I'm sorry. It's all just a misunderstanding. I stayed behind the gate. No, it's not. She stepped closer. We're engaged. This is all just emotional confusion. You didn't mean what you said the other night. I meant every word. She blinked, started to tear up again. You don't understand. I just didn't know who you were. That's on me. But I love you. I do. You loved what you thought I could give you, I said. You never loved me. She reached through the gate. Please, let me fix it. I looked at the security guard and nodded. She's not welcome here. Revoke her club access permanently. The guy gave me a sharp nod and picked up the phone. Lisa's hands dropped to her sides. You'd really do that to me? You did it to yourself. She started crying again. Full waterworks. I turned and walked back to my truck. Didn't say another word. It happened 2 days later. I was at the marina office with Chase going over some board paperwork. We had the front windows open, breeze coming in off the water, and I was finally starting to feel like my head was clear again. Then the yelling started. Not a fight, just one voice. Hers. Loud. Too loud. Chase looked up from the folder. Oh, hell, he muttered, already standing. I followed him out, and sure enough, there she was. Lisa. standing in the middle of the front lawn outside the yacht club office, heels dug into the grass, hands shaking, voice cracking loud enough to pull people off the dock. "I'm pregnant," she shouted. "Mason, I'm carrying your child." Every conversation around us stopped. You could hear a wine glass clink from across the lawn. Half the guests froze mid-step. The other half stared at me. I laughed, not out of shock, out of pure disbelief. "No," I said, walking up to her without flinching. "You're not." She blinked fast, like she expected a different reaction. "We haven't been together in weeks," I said, louder now. "And funny thing? I already got warned this was your go-to move." People were whispering now. A couple of women from the sailing club turned and walked away. Her face dropped, but she wasn't done. Not even close. She took a breath and switched lanes like a pro liar. "You're emotionally abusive," she snapped. "You gaslight me the entire relationship. You're a narcissist, controlling, manipulative. Ask anyone who knows me." Chase stepped in, calm but firm. "That's enough, Lisa." She turned on him. "You're just enabling him. You all are. This whole place is built on ego." Chase nodded toward the two uniformed security guys already heading our way. "You're done here." Her face crumpled. "You're really going to throw me out?" I was engaged to him. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Security reached her, each taking a side. One of them spoke low, respectful but final. "Ma'am, you're no longer welcome on the property. Please come with us." She tried to stand her ground, but they didn't touch her. Just waited. Eventually, she gave in, turned around, chin shaking, and walked out with her head down. Nobody clapped. Nobody cheered. They just watched her go like a car accident finally being towed away. Chase glanced at me. "She's lost it." "No," I said. "She never had it." He nodded once. "That's the end of her membership. She won't be back." "Good," I said, walking back inside. "Let the next guy figure her out the hard way." By Monday morning, the video was everywhere. Some teenager from the sailing club filmed the whole thing. Lisa's outburst, my shutdown, security walking her off the property. They captioned it, "Gold digger finds out her blue-collar fiancé owns her elite sailing club." It got picked up by a local gossip account on Instagram. Then someone posted it to TikTok, and after that, it was over. Half the town saw it by noon. The other half heard about it by dinner. Lisa's Instagram went into damage control mode. She posted a black and white selfie with some dramatic caption about healing and gaslighting and public humiliation. Then she uploaded a 7-slide story about being misunderstood and forgiving those who wronged you. Nobody bought it. Comments got turned off. Then the whole profile disappeared. 2 days later, her old boss pulled out of a regatta and issued a polite little statement about severing ties with an employee due to misrepresentation of professional credentials. Translation: she'd lied to clients about who she knew and what she had access to, tried to leverage my last name into contracts that had nothing to do with her. After that, the job offers dried up. Rumor is she tried to jump to another firm in Cincinnati. Didn't even make it past the background check. Last I heard, she was pushing overpriced skincare products on Facebook. One of those pyramid scheme brands that promises 6 figures and a pink SUV if you sell enough face cream to your cousins. And me? I was doing just fine. Chase and I started meeting more, going over marina plans. He roped me into helping with the Youth Sailing Initiative, weekend workshops for teens who've never been on the water. I didn't expect to enjoy it, but I did. Something about teaching a 16-year-old how to start an outboard engine felt more solid than anything I'd done in years. And that's where Jenna came in. She teaches marine tech at the community college. Knows her way around diesel engines better than half the guys on staff. No pretense. No designer bags. She shows up in cargo pants and work boots and smells like motor oil and coconut shampoo. First time we talked, I asked if she wanted coffee. She said, "Only if there's beer in it." We hit it off easy. No games. Couple weeks later, I told her the whole story about Lisa. Didn't hold back. Gave her the unfiltered version. Top to bottom, every stupid detail. She laughed for 5 straight minutes. Then she shook her head and said, "Damn, You really dodged a bullet. Yeah. I did. Sometimes people say revenge is sweet. I disagree. This was better. Jenna came with me to the Marina fundraiser last weekend. She showed up in jeans, a windbreaker, hair in a loose braid, and steel-toe boots she refused to change out of. Didn't give a damn what anyone thought. She wasn't trying to prove anything. Just wanted a cold beer and a decent shrimp skewer. And you know what? People loved her. The yacht wives smiled politely, but the staff, the mechanics, the dockhands and volunteers, they lit up around her like she was one of their own. At one point, she was showing a kid how to rewire a dead starter motor while still holding a plate of grilled corn. Even Doug, the cranky old board member who once threatened to quit over the color of the tablecloths, leaned in and said, "That one's real. Keep her." Chase just laughed. "She reminds me of Grandma," he said. "No pretense, no filter. And she probably knows how to gut a fish faster than either of us." I looked over and saw Jenna laughing with 3 Marina interns, pointing at someone's busted intake valve. No heels, no fake smile, no mask. Right then, my phone buzzed. Email. From Lisa. Subject line: growth, forgiveness, and closure. I opened it out of curiosity, not interest. She wrote 3 paragraphs about being in therapy, reflecting on her past behavior, and finding the grace to forgive me for deceiving her. Said she was open to reconciliation if I was finally ready to be honest. I didn't even bother responding. Just hit forward and sent it to Chase. He replied 2 minutes later. One thing. A laughing emoji. That was that. I stood there for a second, wind off the water hitting my face, and it all settled in. Lisa did me a favor. If she hadn't looked down on me for not fitting in, I might have married someone who cared more about image than substance. Might have spent my life walking on eggshells in a house full of designer plates and no warmth. Now I've got someone who likes me whether I'm holding a wrench or a wine glass. Like Jenna always says, if she couldn't handle your truck, she sure didn't deserve your Marina. Couldn't agree more.